So in this module, in this video, I really want to focus on how to use SubD specifically for modeling form. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is you're modeling in this low cage state, right? And during this low cage state, you are creating this base mesh with the expectation that you will be subdividing it again, right? And that's what's happening here. More specifically, it's so I don't have to go through, like if I took this now, right, and I press Shift D X, and imagine trying to achieve this level of detail here, this nice organic curvature through manual modeling. Can it be done? Yeah, absolutely. Is it going to take you more time? Yes, it will. So I take this here, and now I start to do a bevel, and I'm going up, and I change the shape back. I change the shape, let's say back to this shape. You're like, okay, that's looking good. And then I go to this piece of geometry, and then I'm like, all right, now I got this curvature here. So now you have more edges to work with, right? Which is, and you're like, oh, okay, let me add in another edge. We want to, on Mars, to keep even distribution of edges. So we go in here, and then I start to scale in to help that silhouette because I want to make sure to avoid kind of like these flat edges. So there's a lot to keep in mind, and it's definitely doable. However, you can let the SubD modifier do the work. Okay, so for example, if I kind of go in here, and you can apply this to any shape, organic shape. And by the way, these are techniques that are used heavily for product visualization, automotive, really anything that has kind of organic and hard surface shapes. So with this selected now, I just have a 16-sided or an 8-sided cylinder. So yeah, so I have, again, a low cage, really low, and I know that I'm going to be extruding this and kind of moving things around, right? So I'm just Control R, add in an edge loop here at the bottom, add one here towards the bottom, and then I'll select this face. So during this phase, right, I will have a SubD modifier applied, and I'll do it during this cage modeling process. So you're like, okay, cool, I'm going to scale this down. Let's see how that looks. All right, that's looking good. Extrude this up. Maybe I will now extrude and inset that face. We want to hold this bottom, so I'll inset that face at the bottom. And then I'll go through and do a right-click that face and do a poke faces. So it kind of holds that a little bit better. And I'll do that here as well. So I'll select that face, right-click, and do a poke faces. So again, I'm modeling this during this cage mode, okay? And you're like, okay, cool. So we have this geometry here, and now I'll select this top edge here, scale and kind of move that out, scale and kind of move this one out, and things are looking good. Now it's a bit more of a jug, so maybe I add one here in the middle, and again, I'll kind of scale things out a little bit. But maybe I want to just move this up GZ, kind of scale things out, starting to space things. So we're doing, again, all of this during this preview cage mode. Again, so the expectation is, hey, yeah, I'm going to be subdividing this. So selecting these faces, I'll press Control plus to kind of grow that selection. So now I can scale this here a little bit, so it's a little bit bigger, and then do a scale Z, so I can just make this a little bit shorter to kind of get that look. And then I'll select the face loop here. So if I Alt Z to go into X-ray mode, maybe I select this here, maybe I add in one more edge. So I like this edge, and then start to scale that a little bit. And again, you're just kind of like you are spline modeling, and it's pretty, low stakes. You're not, committing to anything yet. And there, so you kind of get this really nice shape here that looks organic versus having to do that yourself. Now, you'll see that I'm working in 2 level viewports, but I will not apply it at 2. So I'll do a Shift D Y, move that over, set this to 1, and then hit apply. And look at that. Now I can work with this. I can completely work with this. And then not only that, is I can completely just continue to model this. So I can delete these faces, and maybe I, select this edge loop here, and GZ, just kind of move things up. We're now adding in new geometry, kind of scaling this out a little bit to kind of create that nice face at the bottom. We'll select these faces here, press M, merge at the center. So you can see how easy that is. And if you wanted to, you could even like, you don't have to key like, oh, okay, maybe I'll just delete every other edge and then just continue working, right? And so now if you press a Control 1, look at that. You have all that base form there. And not only that, you can see that I added a solidify modifier. So if I go in here now and type in solidify modifier, what did I end up using? Something like, 0.2 meters. So something pretty small, but I want to do that at the above the sub D. So if I toggle stack and just show this, maybe 0.2, get it nice and thick, there it is, maybe 0.1-ish, beautiful, and you get a nice face. So right click that, shade smooth, and look at that, you get this nice organic looking shape. You can see I applied that same workflow here. And then of course, like now I can go through and just kind of hold some form a little bit. Maybe I start to add in these holding edges to really hold that bottom corner. So that's what I mean about we haven't committed anything, and you're just using this as part of your modeling workflow. You're not having to worry about once the sub D is applied, I'm done. Okay, you can use this as just part of your modeling process. And I use this again all the time, especially with more organic shapes. So I would recommend go through, try to create a couple of cups, a couple of vases, get comfortable with really manipulating and moving the sub D cage during the modeling process. So hopefully you found that helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.